have our last speaker for this afternoon, and that is Tomas. Tomas met Karol at Stanford 9 years ago, so that tells you how old Karol is. Anyway, so in Charlotte, he met her 3 years ago in Rio de Janeiro at another wedding. He was asked to make this speech because as a Frenchman, he's supposed to know Charlotte. We don't know. Anyway, so he's Karol's classmate. He knows him intimately, and although maybe not as intimately as Karol would like. Well, that's for you to figure it out. Thank you. Bueno, en español, disculpen, no les voy a traducir en español para los que no hablan inglés. Bueno, Tomás conoció a Karol en Stanford 9 años atrás y a Charlotte 3 años en Río de Janeiro en otro matrimonio. Y le preguntaron que por favor hablara acerca para ellos, porque él conoce muy, muy bien a Karol.
Gracias. Y es un peso, la verdad. It's a big weight to make a speech for a wedding. And I also have very high standards for this kind of speech.
We know.
And I didn't want it to be around just like the two of you guys and why you're great, but rather I wanted to figure out if you are meant for each other.
Let's do it. We still have doubts.
So let me help you. And so I talked with around a dozen people and asked them what they thought about Dolega, what they thought about Charlotte. And when I got the answers back, one of the things that surprised me the most is that I had 12 different answers about Dolega, and they looked like they were for 12 completely different people. And so I wondered, like, who is this guy? So I called his parents and I asked them, who is Dolega? And so they said, who is Dolega? Are you asking me? And Dolega loves this. He loves having different personalities, different sides of him that he shows to different people. And one of the reasons why he's that is because when he was a kid, he was actually a little bit of a nerd. And when you're a nerd, it's not that easy, you know? Like, he's the kind of nerd that would spend 3 hours in front of the computer until Patricia would kick him out to play outside. He's also the kind of boy that studied Lord of the Rings or Norse mythology a bit too much. And so obviously when you're young, that means that you have a profile, and that's how people will know you. And so when he went to Europe, as Marcos mentioned, he realized, holy shit, nobody knows me here. I can be whoever I want. This is so cool. And so this was the first time that triggered Dolega and his exploration of different personalities. So that's why, for example, when he's in Argentina, he's Karol, because he's Polish, and when he's in the US, he's Carlos, because he's Latin. Unless there's another Carlos, in which case he's Polaco. Right? And I heard actually that when he was in Argentina at some point, he took it like really far. Apparently he met this girl and he told him that he was American. And they only spoke in English for months. Until she called home and Nacho, his Dolega's little brother, picked up and he spoke in Spanish. And so the girl was like, who is this guy? He actually speaks Spanish. And that was the last time they spoke. And so you start thinking about this, wait a minute, so this guy has all these personalities and he has like 20 passports, he's a Polish, he's Argentinian, he's American, now he's probably Colombian too. Like, is he actually a spy? 2 months after he arrived to the US, actually Obama got elected. And then he went to Colombia to build a search fund in oil and gas. And then he left, and a few months later, suddenly there was peace between the government and Trump. And his cover-up for leaving was, I'm going to McKinsey. Like, Dolega, going to McKinsey. Sure. The first time we met in school, he was the only one in the entire class that had a plastered leg and crutches. And so we asked him, like, how did you do this? And he said, well, I was in Thailand and in a party, in a beach, and somebody threw a bottle and it cut my tendon, and here I am. Like, really? You were in a secret mission. So the other thing that I heard a lot is that Dolega likes breaking rules, especially like social norms. Like, for example, he was in California, and in Halloween he decided to dress up as a woman, and he went to get his makeup done, obviously, and he went to the girls' bathroom, which you can imagine women in Stanford loved. And then the first thing that he did when we met is grab my fingers and like snap them. What are you doing? What are you doing, Dolega? I've heard actually that he has a lot of skill with his fingers. His little brother told me that when they were kids, he used them as catapults with saliva. But there's one thing I think that was really common across everybody about Dolega. And it's how you care about people. Maybe it's because of your Catholic upbringing, but you've been told and you've learned that you just do stuff for others. And all of your friends and all of your family has said the same thing about you. That you love, that you're empathetic, that you're always there for your friends. Whether they need a car and you also need it, but you still give it to them. Whether you want to study environmental science to save nature. Or the moment when your mother needed you most in the US, when Baba was sick, and you took her with you because she needed morphine, and you said, Mom, we're here, I'm gonna find it with you. And you went all across the city to find that morphine, and you found it in time for Baba. I think that's one of the stories that describes you the most, where you're always there for everybody. And when I was hearing about Charlotte, I heard a lot of very, very similar things. Also this international side, this will to discover a lot of things, to break rules. Maybe it's because you were raised by your mother that escaped Lebanon in a boat to go to France, right? And that means that you need to have very, very clear ideas of what you want, and you go for it. And so, very similar to Dolega, she likes having different personalities. So she hated Paris when she was in Paris, but as soon as she went to Cannes, she was Parisian. She went to study political science, and she decided to be the head of the cheerleaders, which, if you think about it, in France, is like if you're American, you go to a Republican convention to lobby for cricket as a national sport. Like, ridiculous. And then she went to Slovenia to study to work for NATO, which I think is the time when she also became a spy. See, at that point, she went to London to study, she got a job in Canada, and then in Mexico, going sent to Turkey, to India, to Bahrain, to Qatar. Like, really? You're a sales journalist? So I think you were very similar in all these regards to Dolega, but the one thing that makes you really special, and I think we've heard that, is just your assertiveness and your drive. You want something and you push for it, and no matter what people say, you really go for it. And so you guys are at this moment with all these parallels in your life, and you arrive to Colombia, right? And you arrive in a very similar situation. You both don't know the country well. You both arrive knowing very few people, and it's very hard. You both start your companies from scratch without knowing anybody, with partners, and it's really, really hard. And that's when you guys have your first date. So this first date, Charlotte was late for 5 minutes, and Karol was already there. And obviously, Charlotte saw Dolega, and she was flabbergasted. Like, oh my God, this guy is so hot. And obviously, she started asking him 15,000 questions. And everything he said was great. Oh, favorite movie, Big Lebowski. Oh, same as me. Oh, amazing, amazing. By 1 a.m., they were kissing. And by 2 a.m., she asked him to be his boyfriend. And he said, I don't know you. But I think the question that defines that first date and your relationship the most is when you ask him, what is the most important quality? And he answered, empathy. And you said, what? So you both have these similarities. You both are international. You like breaking these rules. You like having a little bit of different identities. But you also have this superpower that makes you special. In your case, Dolega, you have this empathy, and you're always there for everybody. And Charlotte, you have this drive, this assertiveness, where you push for things. And these are superpowers, but they're also a kryptonite. Where if you push for success, happiness is elusive. Because if you don't get success, then you're unhappy. But if you get it, it's meaningless. And Dolega, love and empathy and being always for other people also has its downsides, where sometimes you might efface yourself for others, and you might forget about yourself. And so you guys balance each other. Because Charlotte, you want to push for stuff and you want to succeed. But with Dolega, you don't need to succeed because he will always be there for you, and you don't need to prove him anything. And that's what actually makes success worthwhile. It's not success that gives you love and happiness. It's love and happiness that gives you success. And Dolega, she makes you complete, because even the days when you don't stand up for yourself, she will stand up for you. And it's gonna be uncomfortable, and she's gonna push you, and you might do things that you don't want. She's already been doing that. But you're already a better person. And he's already been showing you what love is and it means. So I want to raise a glass for this beautiful, intelligent, international couple that have this superpower, each one of these two, but that makes them flawed. And together, like the yin and yang, they make each other complete.
Thank you so much, Marcos. Tomas, sorry. I don't know. Well, this concludes the speeches.